I'm Dean. I'm the dad.
I'm Laura. I'm the mom.
And I'm Arthur. I'm the son.
And together we are...
Family Plot.
Very nice, very nice. Well, while you get up the show notes, I will dig into our housekeeping here, starting with Patreon. We got 2 levels, the $1, the $3. When we do videos of our episodes, they will turn up there. We also do ad-free versions of our regular episodes up there, and so much more. So if you would like to be, to help us out, be in the fat part of the spoil system, well, just sign up for Patreon and, hit that $1 or $3 a month level. And I'm telling you, I feel like in September, since Laura and I both have birthdays, there will be some sort of Patreon special going on.
I think, some kind of special thing again in September since it's our birthday month. I think that's a great idea. Sorry.
Thank you, Arthur.
Good idea,
if you
son.
cannot do a monthly donation, buy me a coffee as a one-time donation of $1 or $2, and any little bit helps. Now, if you don't have money to help us out, that's okay. We've never had much ourselves. If you enjoy the show, please share it on social media.
Share it with friends.
Share it with family.
With everyone. And if you don't enjoy the show, please keep it to yourself. I swear I sent a...
So what are we talking about today, Dean?
Well, tonight we go back to 1764 in the French area Lozère, or Haute-Loire area of France, which was at that time called Gevaudan. In 1764, a creature, some thought it was a wolf, others a lion, others still thought it was a werewolf. Whatever it was, attacked dozens of people over several years. No one knew what it was, but everyone had an idea in this animals are interesting, ever so slightly paranormal history episode of the Family Plot Podcast.
So France, huh? Land of pastries and
cheese and the Olympics.
And
miraculous ladybug.
We've talked about ladybug before, absolutely.
Yep. And love. I'm not a big fan of the Olympics, but I love the opening ceremony. I thought it was very artistic and typical of the French. And they've got to be thrilled that it's causing so much controversy because, well, the French
really like controversy.
The French are kind of French.
They're very French.
Yes.
The French, French are probably the most French anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what makes more sense, huh?
In the 1760s, France was in a very bad condition. Oh my God, it was so... The country had just lost the 7 Years' War, which means they had just lost most of their empire overseas, including the nation of Canada. Just gone. No longer. The financial situation was poor coming out of the losing end of that war, and now they had to import goods that they once simply shipped to themselves from overseas. So now they have expenses they didn't have and less money to pay for it all. So the nation was in...
But I didn't mean that like that. But was this when... So I am not world history buff, so I see that all of this is happening. Is this when, like, the French Revolution and stuff was happening, or is this, like, way after?
It's before the French Revolution.
Oh.
That's why that area is no longer called Gevaudan.
Ah.
The French revolted, and they changed a lot of names.
I see. That makes sense. Okay, I was lost in history somewhere. I forgot the What did we used to use the pile of boxes that you called the Wayback Machine?
Yeah. You got to remember, Lafayette helped the American Revolution. So much so that when Americans went overseas to help France, they said, Lafayette, we are here.
Yeah.
So, yeah. France was not a bad place at this time, just not a great place to live kind of place.
I see.
The nation was in disarray, and a burgeoning press was beginning to grow. Now, the press was unable to report on political news because that had been censored by the king, King Louis XV at the time.
Yeah, he was a rough one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they were looking for anything to sell papers. One popular paper would include the goings-on in local villages in a section called Fête de Vires, which essentially means different things. But it was kind of essentially the mid-1700s answer to True Crime.
True TV.
Well, they didn't really have TV.
Well, yeah, but, I mean, in comparison to today, or, YouTube videos.
Yeah, it was their True Crime.
Okay.
It was more closer to a podcast or a blog than True TV.
Okay.
But yeah. And so, yeah, that's kind of where this started.
I see. Well, Gevaudan was a district that had been formed back in the Middle Ages, named after a local tribe. It was mostly farmland and woodlands, and the people who inhabited the area, of course, were mostly farmers, hunters, loggers, and fishermen. In effect, those who made their living from the land. They were intimately familiar with their environment, with their inability to identify the creature that was attacking them. That, of course, made it more than a bit unusual. It was ruled by Bishop of Mende, Gabriel Florence de Choiseul-Beaupré?
Choiseul-Beaupré would be my guess, but...
Jeez, why'd you make me read all of that? That was evil. I think I did okay, but that was evil. Also called the Count of Gevaudan. You couldn't have just gone with that one? Anyway, it was in something of a permanent state of uprising, as the area had not traditionally paid reverence to the French king. The first bishop of Mendi decided to bow to the French throne, considered odd for a cleric to do, even when running a country. Gevaudan had been divided into 8 baronies, which were in a constant state of warfare because of questions of religion. It was also seen by the rest of the country as a bit of a backwater. A remote, isolated area where the woods had not been fully tamed and the forest still held some dark enchantments.
All right. Well,
let's have some fanfare and get into however much of Arthur's Corner we're getting into.
Hear ye, hear ye! Allow me to present Arthur's Corner!
Hello everybody, welcome back to the corner. How are we doing today?
We are great.
Doing all right, Arthur? You are looking extra fabulous this evening.
Thank you.
And your new glasses.
I'm having a glow up, guys. I'm dyeing my hair and everything. I'll see if Dad'll take a picture and throw it on.
I got you.
Throw it on Facebook or something.
Yeah, I got you. It'll be in the Facebook group before the end of the evening.
Heck yeah.
Before the show drops, it'll be in. I will put it in the show drop post for tomorrow.
Heck yeah.
So anyway, what's going on in your corner this week?
I wanted to have a little talk, like a sort of
check in with Arthur.
We haven't we have a full one of those coming up next week.
We do.
Yeah, next week will be episode 210. This is episode 209.
Oh, yeah. Okay, my bad.
And
Sorry,
we'll
guys.
need some positivity, so just throwing that out there, because next week's going to be a rough one. Anyway, go ahead.
Why is it going to be a rough week?
Next week we're talking about something else. We'll talk about it at the end.
Oh, okay.
You know now.
Anyways,
Yes.
everyone, I wanted to sort of look and sort of think about something real quick before we do a deep dive into this episode.
Mm-hmm.
You know how last week we talked about aardwolves?
Yes. Well, actually, it was 2 weeks ago, but I said remember it because the aardwolf is a kind of fitting description of the Beast of Gevaudan, except for its size.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's sort of what brought you to the conclusion of direwolves.
Right. Yeah,
now, this is in France, so I think it's very kind of unlikely, but I'm thinking that maybe direwolves do have something to do with this sort of creature that is attacking people. Because direwolves, I just did a little bit of research on it. They're pretty big, and they were described as very aggressive, unless it was like to like their owners, so like the hunters that were there back in the day. So I'm wondering if maybe there's something behind this, and it's like not entirely actually extinct.
And that's just a thought I had, was that it could be a direwolf, other than the comparisons I've seen to direwolves and humans, they come up to about here, the midsection. This thing is described as being bigger.
Yeah, and see, my thing with that is all direwolves were different sizes, so like younger ones could have been like lower, and older ones could be higher, because I looked at like size comparisons with that sort of stuff, and usually they would come up to like here.
So that makes it a possibility, at least, which we'll get into more as we discuss the attacks and what people report. But whatever this animal was, it was definitely unusual.
Right. And direwolves, they are quite unusual, and I don't think you would have seen them in France back then, because obviously they didn't know what France was. But I think that maybe the environment there could help them spiral back upwards. And while that sort of worries me, I feel like that's the reason that people were getting attacked. I don't think it's too much of a like paranormal type thing, but I do think that maybe some species are coming back to life due to such a change in the environment and like a shift and everything. So I do feel like maybe animals out in the wild are mating and creating actual things.
Awesome. Yeah. It could be a hybrid. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, it could definitely be a hybrid. That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah. That's smart. I like the way you think, son.
Was that all that you had in your corner this week?
That's all I can think about. I just want to sort of throw my input in there and be like, yeah.
Well, you want to go ahead and take over from here then? Thank you for your info from your corner, and you're standing on it. Go right ahead.
All right. The attacks. We will not get into every attack here. Most were not recorded, as death was far more commonplace. Commonplace?
Yep.
Back then, while literacy, both in reading and writing, were far less common. We will note whether the victims that we know about survived the attacks and how they did and what, if any injuries they suffered. We will also include their impressions of the beast. For the exact kind of beast this is still something of a mystery.
And now let's take a moment for a word from another podcast. Last week it was Backlook Cinema. I don't remember what it's going to be this week, so it'll be interesting. It'll entertain us.
First impressions can take only 6 seconds to make, but if you're neurodivergent, those quick judgments about you can be misleading.
Because of most people's ignorance around learning disabilities, people think it means you're intellectually incapable.
I'm not Rain Man. Every autistic person isn't Rain Man.
I thought I was talking to people who understood dyslexia and ADHD, but they did not.
They freaked out and were like, well, if you've got Tourette's, if it's going to be a problem, then we can just fire you and get someone else.
I'm Carolyn Keel, and I host Beyond 6 Seconds, a podcast where neurodivergent people share their lives and advocacy.
One of my goals is making autism not something that's scary.
I really want to help people understand dyspraxia a little bit better.
Get the real life of Tourette syndrome out there. Stop thinking we were nothing but a joke.
Let's shatter misconceptions and celebrate neurodiversity together. Listen at beyond6seconds.net or wherever you get your podcasts.
Wow, that does sound really interesting, hon.
Yes, I know. So let's talk about the first attacks. In early summer, probably the last days of May or the very early days of June, a young woman near the Merquoir forest reported an animal that was like a wolf, but not a wolf, come out of the forest to attack her. As it approached her, the bulls chased it away. As it tried to approach a second time, the bulls chased it till it left the area. Now we meet the beast's first known victim. On June 30th, 1764, the beast claimed the life of 14-year-old Jean? Maybe Jean?
Yeah.
Jean. I think it's Jean.
Jean.
I think it's Jean because
I think it would be John if it didn't have that N-E at the end. I think it's Jean Boulet.
I think it's Jean, yeah.
In an attack. Her burial certificate states she is to be buried without sacrament because she did not have time to confess her sins before death. And that she was a victim of the ferocious beast. She was killed near the village of Les Hubac, near Langon. On the 8th of August, a second victim, the day this will drop, oh my God, this will drop on the 8th, because today's the 7th. So on the 8th of August, a second victim was recorded. A child, not given a name in stories. Like Boulet, she had been tending sheep. The creature attacked and made short work of her, but as it left her dying, the villagers approached, and the only thing she said was, a horrible beast.
Does that make that 550 years ago tomorrow?
Yep, 550 years ago tomorrow. Wait, no. It's 25.
So 350 years.
Yeah, almost, yeah. Oh my God. A long time ago.
That makes me believe more that it may have been a dire wolf.
So
also if it is a dire wolf, a reason that a dire wolf would have ran away from its prey is if it wasn't packed together with other dire wolves. Because they used to hunt woolly mammoths, but they had to do it in groups because woolly mammoths were so huge.
Yeah. Well, and the beast claimed more victims around August and September, and by now these attacks were featured in a newspaper in Paris, adding details to the already lurid attacks by the beast. These stories turned what was a backwater nuisance into a national menace. The English press lambasted the country because the English and French get along so well and always have. And if you believe that, I got a bridge to sell you. But it was these new victims were being attacked and killed near the Merquoir forest. It was reported as attacking solitary men, women, and children attempting to watch their flocks. a solitary occupation that put them at risk of attack, though the beast mostly focused on women and children, and in its attacks focused on the head or neck regions, in effect, attempting to kill its target quickly and quietly.
And that definitely sounds like a dire wolf. That definitely sounds like a wolf. Intention. So strange details were beginning to emerge. Some say the beast was big as a calf or cow or horse. Others claim it could walk on its hind legs like a man. It was capable of astounding leaps and, according to some, could regenerate wounds, was immune to bullets, and could come back from the dead after being killed. Sounds like a skinwalker.
Yeah, and it does remind me kind of the wolf at Skinwalker Ranch, the one that tried to reach its head through the bars to take the calf, the one they shot.
That's what it made me think of.
Yeah.
Other rumors claimed there were a pair of beasts doing the attacks, mostly because often separate attacks would happen near simultaneously. For a country that was looking for a cause, a country looking for a way to prove itself, finding and killing the Beast of Gevaudan was the cause of the nation. The beast was described as a huge beast with a black stripe on its back, a panther-like tail that ended in a tuft, and a reddish-gray coat of fur. You know what else that sounds like? A Tasmanian devil.
It does kind of sound like a Tasmanian.
A giant Tasmanian devil.
Yeah, but
I just heard him start
solved a mystery on air. Hey, how many podcasts can say that?
Well, that's true.
Yeah, we were looking for the silly cat.
Yeah, absolutely. So, anyway, so the beast with a black stripe on its back, a panther-like tail that ended in a tuft, and a reddish-gray coat of fur. At first, Bishop Mende claimed the creature was a punishment sent by God himself. He told the people to pray for deliverance from their sins. He quoted St. Augustine that the beast was the justice of God, and that Moses is quoted in the Bible as saying, "I will arm the teeth of wild beasts against them." This had to be read by the priest to the faithful, and the faithful were expected to pray so that the curse of the beast would be lifted from them. Despite this, the beast continued its assault on the region.
Just hearing this, I never knew the French were Republicans.
Okay. Keep the politics out of the podcast. We're not going to go down that road.
Exactly.
Just did. What you going to do about it?
On January 12th, the beast would attack 8 children working in a field. The beast had no fear of people. Jacques Hortefeux,
yeah,
organized the children, grouping them together so whenever the beast drew close, they could hit it with sticks and rocks. Grouped together this way, the beast was unable to get any one child, and thus the children drove the beast off and escaped with only minor wounds. The king heard this story and sent gold coins to Jacques and more coins to split amongst the other 7 children. The king paid for Jacques' education, and he found himself as something of a minor hero. Shortly after that, it killed an unnamed 12-year-old girl. In a story about her burial, it was said she had been found partially devoured by a creature that had been ravaging the countryside for 3 months or more. At Tinofol, a local government official, and Captain Jean-Baptiste Duhamel of the Clermont Prince Dragons were the first officials to try to hunt and kill the beast. Duhamel saw the task as a way to redeem himself from his wartime failures and did his earnest best to catch the beast. It is believed at one point he had 30,000 men and volunteers at his command. They left out poison baits for the beast and even disguised some of his men as women, hoping to lure the beast to them. However, Duhamel was consistently frustrated by the incompetence of the local populace, who somehow managed to ruin every shot he had at the beast. When he drove the beast towards the village of Le Malzou, across the Trier River, and found the village unprepared in any way to attack or capture the beast, he became even more frustrated. However, he still wanted to kill the beast, but he would never get the opportunity to do so.
Thanks for removing that second, however, and not making me sound like a complete idiot.
Well, it wouldn't have made you sound like an idiot. It would have just made me sound like an idiot.
No, I'm the one who writes it, okay? I've admitted this. I'm the one who writes it. So when you read something that's dumb, people know I'm the one who wrote it.
Not necessarily, because sometimes they just think we messed up. Anyway, maybe we should take a minute for a word from our sponsors.
Yeah, that's probably a thing we should do. We should have that happen now.
Heck yeah, sponsors. That was a cool product.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We are super excited. Thank you. Make sure you support our sponsors. Hey, Arthur, you want to take us up from here?
I will. However, I just wanted to take a moment and notice that thylacine wolves?
Thylacine wolves, yes.
They seem very similar in pattern
and the thylacine wolves are actually a grouping of wolves that are supposed to be extinct, but...
Well, they wouldn't have been in 1764.
No, they would have been alive then.
Yep, I was going to say. They were supposed to be extinct now, but they absolutely could have been in France.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, people had menageries, and that is one of the things that people have suggested.
Yep.
We'll get into that later, is that it was some kind of animal escaped from a menagerie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if they did it like a sort of mix with a Tasmanian wolf and something else, because
it could have been like an English hound.
I don't know if thylacines breed.
They might.
Like that.
We don't know, though.
We don't.
So, yeah, it's possible
anything's possible, really.
Yeah.
With the attacks continuing, the king took it upon himself to send 2 more hunters. In this case...
Let me interrupt, because because this is so old, a lot of things say different things. So either the king sent these 2 jokers, or they came on their own. They heard about the issues and they came on their own. I wrote it as the king, but I kept finding others that said, no, they came on their own. So, whatever the case, these 2 geniuses show up.
Silly goose. Okay. In this case, Jean. Okay. Jean-Charles Marc-Antoine.
Uh-huh.
Antoine.
Mademoiselle.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
De Neville.
Yeah.
And his son, Jean-Francois.
What job?
Heck yeah, I know my French. Okay, anyway.
Don't get too comfortable with it. I should get you in trouble.
I know. If I start cussing in French, Dad's gonna know. The pair brought several bloodhounds with them, trained in the art of hunting wolves. That is such a dumb idea. You are going to watch them get destroyed. Okay. Duhamel?
Mm-hmm.
He could not work with these professional wolf hunters. Duhamel was trying to organize massive hunting parties, but de Neville's? I'm gonna try to say
I would say Neville's.
Whoopsie.
Because I thought Deneville's was easier than anything else.
I got you. Deneville's
believed the culprit to be a Eurasian wolf and believed it could only be caught by stealthy hunting techniques. The Hummel was forced to abandon his attempts as the pair of hunters felt they would do better without all the thrashing and noise. The Hummel's methods brought the Hummel
Return to Claremont.
Well, obviously, but that just confused me. Okay. Anyway.
Well, the thrashing and noise that the Hummel's methods brought.
Okay, that makes
sense. The Hummel then returned to Claremont. The
Nevils arrived on the 17th of February in 1765 and immediately set to work hunting Eurasian wolves. However, the attacks continued. King Louis the 15th. Thank you, Father.
Louis the 15th.
Okay, he's dead now, but it's okay.
Is how you say it. Oh, okay.
King Louis.
Good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Was beside himself trying to rid the nation of a problem that the newspapers of the time were making into an embarrassment. In June, the king replaced the wolf hunters with Francois Antoine. Oh yeah, I remember I was talking about him earlier.
Mm-hmm. The king's personal...
I know. The king's personal arquebus bearer, and the lieutenant of the hunt was sent to replace the two wolf hunters. An arquebus
is an early form of a rifle.
Oh, an arquebus is an early form of a rifle that first appeared in the 15th century.
And it was actually something between a rifle and a shotgun. It was, again, very, very early weapon. At least for ballistic weapons, so.
Everyone who encountered the beast seemed to describe it differently. Lafont described the beast as having a snout somewhat like a calf's and very long hair, which he seemed to think indicated a hyena. De Hummel claimed it had a breast as wide as a horse and that it was long as a leopard, and had reddish fur with a black stripe down its back. He concluded that it was a hybrid animal whose father was a lion and whose mother he could not identify. Dire wolf. In my opinion. The de Nevils never got a look at the beast and were eventually forced to give up. A tough break for a man who claimed he had already killed over 1,200 wolves. The father had actually claimed to accomplish this prior to hunting for the beast. Another word from our sponsors, just in case.
Yep.
All right, I feel doubly sponsored, babe.
Awesome.
I was the one who said it.
Well, do you feel sponsored?
I do.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
On August 11th, mind you, now we are in 1766, which, great things are happening overseas.
Uh-huh.
However, the beast had other ideas.
That's great, it wasn't 69. Sorry.
Oh, on August 11th, Antoine organized a great hunt for the beast. However, the beast had other ideas. In the area of Pauhac, an assistant to the local parish priest, one Marie-Jeanne Vallée, was walking with other peasant girls about to cross a footbridge over a stream. She carried a spear, as many women did in those days for fear of the beast, which is a real weird weapon to me.
Why a spear?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you can use it as a walking stick, you can use it to protect yourself, you can use it to help keep your balance.
I'm sorry,
if you need to, you can use it if you need to. You can use it to carry buckets of water. You can use it to carry knapsacks or whatever you need over your shoulders. A spear is actually something that can be... Did you ever watch Xena Warrior Princess? Gabrielle always with a spear.
Okay, but we're talking about an animal that, or whatever this is, that doesn't get hurt by bullet wounds.
Uh-huh.
How was a spear gonna help?
They had to have something?
I mean, they had to have something, but a spear isn't gonna do much in that situation, especially if it can heal like they're saying it can.
Let me tell the rest of the story, and you'll find out how well it works.
Okay.
As Marie-Jeanne stepped upon the footbridge, one of the girls saw the beast and cried out. The girls tried to backpedal. However, the beast came for young. We believe she was around 20 years old when this happened. Marie-Jeanne, who battled it with her spear. Eventually, she managed to stab the beast, which then fell into the stream and ran away. Word of the attack reached Antoine, who rushed to the girl. Looking at the blood on her spear and other signs of the attack, he firmly believed the beast was the same one he was hunting. He later wrote a letter to St. Florentin, King Louis' minister of house, comparing the girl to Joan of Arc and referring to her as the Maid of Gevaudan, a name she is still known by today. There's a statue commemorating her struggle.
That was the statue that you pictured on our...
Yep. That was... So for those of you trying to guess, that was a statue of the Maid of Gevaudan battling the Beast of Gevaudan.
Very nice.
Thank you. There's a statue commemorating her struggle located in southern France. Finally, over a month later, in September, Antoine tracked down and killed a large wolf near the Abbey of the Chasses. The wolf, dubbed the Wolf of the Chasses, or maybe it's Chassé, I'm not sure, was killed. Antoine was rewarded by the king, and the villagers gave him a hero's welcome. Antoine sent the body of the wolf back with his men, who had it taxidermied on the way, and presented it to the king. The king displayed the beast in Les Jardins du Roi, otherwise in English, the Gardens of the King. Meanwhile, Antoine stayed in Gevaudan to track the beast's mate and two pups who had also been seen around this time. Eventually, he shot both the female and the pup, which was already larger than the mother. The pup had a double dew claw, which is normally only found on a dog called the Busseron, a French breed used as sheep herders. It is believed that at this point, the beast mauled or killed another 30 to 35 people, and they were not getting any help at all because Louis thought the threat had been dealt with.
Nice.
Even the newspapers did not report these new attacks. All through 1766 and the early days of 1767, more attacks of the beast were reported, though it seemed much more cautious than it had previously. Oh my.
The Beast of Gevaudan stuff. That's what that looked like.
Let's see. Many thought it was a different wolf doing the killing. Others thought that the deaths came from multiple sources. However, with no help coming, the villagers turned to one of their own.
So, local farmer John Chastel had worked previously on another hunt, but had been thrown into jail by Antoine for leading his hunting party into a bog. Released from prison, Chastel once more began to hunt for the creature, eventually shooting a large wolf on the slopes of Montmouche in mid-June of 1767. These days, Montmouche is known as, say that because I'm not even trying,
Saint-Devers.
The beast was sent to the local lord who had organized the hunt and was there for several days as the locals came to see it. After that, it was sent to an apothecary to stuff it, but since he incorrectly stuffed the entrails area with straw, the beast began to stink. Upon reaching Paris, a naturalist at the palace examined the beast, which stank greatly, had lost most of its hair, and overall did not look good. At last, the naturalist claimed that it was a wolf, and then the man who brought the beast buried it.
Now, I don't know if it reads that way to anyone else, but every version of that story comes to me as they bring this naturalist, this big stinking mound of what at this point is rotten meat, and he takes one whiff of it and goes, "Wolf!" Pardon my French. Get it out of here. So I don't think he gave it much of a look-see.
I'm looking at this thing, or what people saw it as, and I'm like, oh, it looks terrifying.
Pretty scary, yeah.
It looks whack. Anyways, culprits. Many culprits have been suggested for the animal that came to be known as the Beast of Gevaudan. Some point to the 5 claws. Most people described it having, claiming it had to be a hyena or aardwolf. However, I differ from that opinion because that's like, while they look similar, honestly, I'm cutting from aardwolf, I'm cutting from hyena, and I'm cutting from direwolf because this is something different. Because what description pictures I'm seeing of it, none of them look right. Anyhow, escaped from the area menagerie that caused the problem. Others point to the reported size of the beast and theorize it may have been a dire wolf or a other prehistoric wolf breed. Still others point to the tough tail and think it might have been a lion. Of course, many believed the beast to be a werewolf or another supernatural creature. And some of the descriptions of the wolf kind of do match up with the dire wolf seen on
Skinwalker Ranch.
I ain't gonna say that. Some even believe Chastel trained wolf dog hybrids to cause trouble so he could get away with the other criminal acts.
Nice.
What criminal acts these were never mentioned. Most, however, think the region was a hunting ground for a large and bold pack of wolves, especially as wolf attacks were fairly common in France during this time. The final The final statistics seem to indicate that around 100 dead and 300 injured.
Wow, that's pretty serious.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, pop culture, directed by Christophe Gans, The Brotherhood of the Wolf is a fictionalized story, an action movie about the Beast of Gevaudan and its capture. In that movie, the beast is presented as a lion that's in armor, in this kind of weird wooden armor. So that's why they couldn't identify it. But recently, Blumhouse Productions has announced that it will adapt the story for a Netflix original movie. Made in 2022, The Cursed is set in 19th century France, where an old mystical woman, she is referred to as a gypsy, however we know these are the Romani people, so, battling ignorance wherever I find it.
I love it.
Versus the village, with a beast. German metal band Powerwolf wrote a song about the creature in 2022, and in 2014 or thereabouts, the MTV series Teen Wolf featured a villain inspired by the beast. Also, sometime back, the podcast Astonishing Legends did a 2-part deep dive into the beast, so if you want to know more, you know where to go. And that brings us to our summary and final thoughts.
Which I think we've kind of this time done throughout the course of the discussion. That really, I want to tell you, you did a great job. I think these were great thought out notes this week. Thank you so much. You did awesome. that's my final thoughts, is that I really feel like we I think it was another animal that the people in France just weren't familiar with. I think it was probably some kind of hybrid that happened from people having menageries and animals escaping and, going and commingling with farm animals or local animals, and just whatever came out of it was kind of started an issue that still happens today. That's what's caused some of the breeds of killing bees and murder hornets, and it's these things get from one area to another area. They have no known predators, and they just turn into some super species for a while. And that sounds like that's what this may have been.
I think people underestimate animals. I think people think that there's a limit to what animals can get up to, and they know how to hide. They are very smart. So I think there are a lot of unknown animals that a lot of people just don't know because they're scared to look out in the open, and they're scared to find something like that.
Well, and there is one thing we have to do, and we will do it, but just an overall, anytime I cast my mind to this, there are so many options of things, and so many things that don't make sense to me. Like, wolves are pack hunters. This thing attacked alone.
Yeah.
But I did look it up, and wolves can and have attacked alone before.
Absolutely.
But also, it almost seems it points to be two different creatures. Because early on, it's got no fear of people at all. At all. Fears other large animals like bulls or whatever, but it doesn't fear people. So, yeah, it just, but later, after the maid of Gevaudan, stabs it and tosses it into a stream, effectively.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it starts showing up, it's cautious.
Right.
But, and we're also talking about an animal that seems to understand people enough to know, go for the short ones, go for the light ones, and go for their throats so they don't have time to...
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean people. That's just prey in general.
It just...
That's a very human thought process, but that's just prey in general. I mean, if you think about the animal kingdom, that's what they're going to do anywhere. They're going to take the young.
Right. You're right. You're right. It just, I don't know.
Honestly, sounds like a mix of like a dire wolf and a lion to me. That's.
But you can't. I mean, short of genetics, you can't mix those species. They won't crossbreed.
You can't
crossbreed all the time. Sure, we'll find a way. Jurassic Park taught us that. And it is true. It is true.
Literally.
We see it over and over. COVID.
You've seen a Zorse. You've seen. Oh my gosh! There's like.
Cabbages.
Yes,
cabbages are an actual thing.
And there's also
and people
raccoon dogs.
Yep, those things happen.
It's not very often that it happens, but I think it could have been something that just crossbreeded somehow.
I knew I knew way back when I was deep into Christianity. This would have been 25-ish. My pastor at the time had a cat named Bandit. Bandit was a black and white striped cat. And he'd gotten pregnant and gave birth to a few babies that looked a little like mom. But also what happened was a young raccoon she found by their property, and so she brought it in. Well, Bandit fed it. And in the pictures, you can see this raccoon looks more like mom than her kittens do.
Right.
So, yeah, anyway.
Very nice.
Yeah. So I guess there's only one more detail and final thoughts
Bit, Lexi.
we need, which is, what do we think it is?
I just think it was some kind of hybrid between. I really think that I think it could be like a thylacine or a Tasmanian tiger, even.
Right. And you saying it's mixed with something else?
Absolutely. So I do feel like it probably, just like you talked about, there were all of the menageries in France then, people that was something that they did in those highborn houses. So it's easy enough for a creature like that to get in, have fun with another creature, and two of them get round together, and the next thing you know, there's a whole bunch of crazy creatures running around.
Yeah. My only problem with that theory is thylacines weren't that big.
You know what? But lions are.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Lions lions can be pretty big and mixed with another animal. You don't know how big that animal can get.
Yeah, but there's a limit to the hybridization that was available at the time. You can't put an animal.
Nature finds a way.
Yeah, but nature doesn't make ligers. Okay, you cannot breed a lion and a tiger and get an because they don't exist.
How do you know? We have said so many times on this show that anything is plausible. Nature finds a way. That we don't understand everything that happens in the world. Who are you to say that was not possible in 1700? You weren't there.
I wasn't there, but science says it's not.
Science know everything. Faith is a thing. Science has told me multiple times that I would die within 24 hours, and yet I still stand here in front of you today. I am still very much not dead, and we have made multiple children in the 5 years since they told me I was going to die.
But the point I am making is we absolutely know certain species cannot crossbreed.
No, we don't. We know that until they do, and we say, oh, maybe that. I am saying that under the circumstances.
So somewhere out there, you're telling me there's a cog, half cat, half dog?
Yeah. It's a possibility. Under the circumstances, things can happen that are completely unexpected.
Yeah, but for those things to happen, you need a genetics lab, which are in very short supply.
That is not true. Nobody took a cat and a rabbit to a genetics lab to make a cabbit. Cabbits are real, actual living creatures. They don't live for very long, but a cat and a rabbit can mate, so can a lion and a Tasmanian tiger. And guess what? There are cabbits. There are raccoon dogs. You've seen raccoon dogs.
Yeah, I have.
You've seen cabbits.
I have, but again, they don't live long. There's a reason for that.
They don't live long. How are you to know that the animals that were mating didn't have multiple of them?
Okay, and here's the thing. You're poo-pooing on this, which is hilarious to me because you are usually the one who's blue-skying everything. But you are poo-pooing on this, but again, I say to you, nature can find a way, and especially in a country that is full of all kinds of craziness, and I know that you do not have faith, but God creates new and amazing miracles all the time. And if he had a reason for whatever took place there, he can make whatever he wants.
Okay. If you want to say maybe it was a mix of a Beauceron and a wolf, I'll buy that.
Sure,
dogs and wolves.
Even you have to look at that picture and say, based on what they were describing, what I am suggesting is at least plausible that it was some kind of hybrid. You saying I'm wrong?
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I can't go with that explanation.
You go with your explanation. This isn't argue with Dean over Laura's final thoughts. This is everyone's final thoughts, sweetheart.
You're right. Just conversing with you.
The conversation is turning into you're wrong.
It's not meant to be a you're wrong. It's not meant to be you're wrong. I just happen to know enough about genetics to get really dangerous. And I know you cannot breed a cog. I don't know why, but cats and dogs cannot. Dogs can't interbreed with cats. There's a reason for that. Not everything can interbreed. That's all I was saying.
I'm not suggesting a dog and a cat interbreeding. I am suggesting a thylacine possibly interbreeded with a lion or a large cat or a large wolf and created this creature that ended up, or a group of these creatures that ended up killing these children. And that absolutely is completely plausible. We were not there in 1700. They're very well animals that we don't even have records of.
And I get that. And I will accept that it could be a hybrid creature. You just
want to poop on the ones that I picked out. And that's cool.
I don't want to poop on them. Okay. I will say it's possible because I don't know enough about thylacines. I don't know where they are on the animal kingdom because I'm not sure they're dogs, but I'm not sure they're cats either. Especially with their closest living relative being a Tasmanian devil. So I don't know what the crossbreed on that is. But yeah, that's my only reason for questioning this. Now, they called them tigers, but if they're really more like striped dingoes, then absolutely we got a culprit.
All right. What about you, Roger? What's your final thoughts?
I agree that it could definitely be a mix of animals. I don't really know much what else to say about it. I believe that it could have been a mix of maybe a dire wolf that wasn't entirely extinct with something else.
Yeah, I don't know. I think science may have it right in that it was a bunch of wolves, especially seeing as some of their behaviors changed. Like they talked about some being bold, they didn't care who was there. And then others were a lot more cautious. So it's possible either that or we're dealing with a new animal, something like
an old animal.
Well, yeah, or something they saw, like the thing they saw at Skinwalker Ranch.
Right.
Which was as big as bigger than a calf, because it was trying to bite one through the bars. And which would put it firmly in the realm of paranormal, which makes it even weirder than your hybrid animal. So there you go. So yeah, it's impossible to say. And even the wolf diagnosis feels a little wrong to me because wolves are pack hunters.
Always. There are times that wolves will hunt without a pack.
But even, okay, it's, like velociraptors, like they portrayed them in the original Jurassic Park. Like if you see one, there's others around.
But remember when we were talking about the story, they said that several people thought that it must have been more than one because of how quickly the attacks occurred. So you're discounting that there may have been more that just were not reported. But again, there were multiple times that whoever got killed were the only ones there. So a lot of times there were no witnesses to talk about what had actually happened.
Yep. Yeah, you're probably right.
Also, you have to keep in mind that there are some, animals, there is a dog I just searched it up, and there's like a dog that looks like a cat interbreeded with a dog. Literally, it looks like it's part dog, part cat. So you got to keep in mind that some animals just look like they've interbred with other animals, even if they haven't.
I suppose that's possible. That's our show. Because even if they dropped the actual body of the thing in front of us and said, "Here's what it is," we still wouldn't know.
We still wouldn't know entirely what it was.
Yeah.
We have no clue what else made. Good luck figuring that out.
Yeah, that's our show. Thanks for listening. Thanks for keeping us in the Good Pods Top 100. Join our Facebook group, moderated by our own Laura Williams.
What Etsy shop is up?
Go stop by Arthur's Etsy shop and buy all of his curios and arts. Thanks to Blue Bows, who does our sound effects, including all the growls and whines you heard on this episode. He did those for us. Thanks to Bill Barrett. That last name is spelled Behrendt. Why am I spelling it? Well, I'll explain. Bill does our theme music. Obviously, that makes him a musician. If you need music for a project or someone to perform an event like a wedding, Bill's your guy. You can reach him at billbarrett@sbcglobal.net. And now you know why I spelled it for you. Also, thanks to Paige Elmore of the Reverie Crime podcast. Paige no longer does the Reverie Crime podcast, unfortunately, but she does have an addiction to Canva that she combines with her own Arthur's artwork to make logo art for us. Thank you, Paige.
Thank you, Paige.
Thanks to Aaron Gunnerk of the Big Dumb Fun Show, who continues to support us locally. Join us next week as we look into the life and death of child actress Judith Parsi. That one is going to be rough.
Yes, it is.
I've already done the research, and wow. Bye!
Bye!